Hello everyone and welcome to another Premier Pundit special podcast. It's the international break and I'm so glad to be joined by Ángel Aceña Rodriguez. And if that name is not familiar to it, then don't worry. He is the head of fitness and rehab at Watford. Ángel, so pleased you give us some time in your busy schedule. Thank you and hi, how are you?
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure for me get the opportunity to speak about football, about training, about injuries, and well, we are going to enjoy a good moment now speaking about everything.
Yeah, but look, brilliant. Like I say, thanks once again. I want to kick off by saying, and I've looked at your resume. You've been involved in travel and in football all across the world. I just soundbite a few of those to our listeners. You've worked for the Football Association in Zambia, the Football Federation out in Costa Rica, the national team for Spain, out in Qatar for Sports Club, the Eredivisie with Vitesse, La Liga with Seville, and here you are now in mighty Blighty at Watford. How did that come about, and what are your experiences in your first few months of this country and the Premier League?
Yeah, well, the first of all, I know that I am in the best league in the world. This is a reality. The organization, the structure of the different clubs. Even the budgets of the club you compare with the budget of the Spanish clubs, La Liga. This is the reality nowadays. This is the best league. Well, for me, when I have the chance for come to join in Watford, I haven't got any doubt for come and for develop myself, and I'm trying to help with my role as a fitness coach, a Rehab fitness coach. I have in the past have been in like main fitness coach, and well, Rehab fitness coach is another role that I have developed in the past in Sevilla Football Club. And well, this is a very good opportunity for me, and well, this is nice. There are some difference. Now we are going to see, but it's nice, and well, enjoying this great league.
And so you've touched upon already in the Premier League the structure, the budget, the resource. Probably a lot different from things that you've experienced anywhere else in the world. And for you, in terms of your personal development and an opportunity, was that your biggest draw to come to England, having the opportunity of this type of working environment?
Yes, for one person that is is related with professional football, elite football, get the opportunity to work in Premier League is a privilege. Here, normally all the clubs has a structure with different departments. This is a different with other countries. Here there's a lot of tradition to work with different departments, medical department, technical staff, coach, obviously analyst. This is increase the quality on the work that we do. It's important to get a good communication. There are a lot of studies that it's necessary to get a good communication, try to decrease or keep a good injury incidence. But for me, from my point of view, this is the best way. The tradition with the patience in the English clubs with the structure, not change everything in a couple of months, for example. And so this is one of the aspects that they are good for me to come here, and there is the main difference between another European country, for example, in Spain, where there are a little bit more instability in the clubs. Me as a fitness coach sometimes had difficult to improve or implement some resorts buy new technologies. So this is in UK it's easy, and this is one of the reasons, because now the level of this league is so high.
Yeah, and you see that they're more open and more receptive to new technologies and new theories and new methods. You know, within your role, and you talked about those open lines of communication within the departments, is that something which you've really been surprised at or impressed that you're forming that link maybe between the medical department and sports science department? You're not almost sort of pigeonholed into one area. You have a holistic overview of being able to see the whole picture and maybe lead players from beginning to end.
Yeah, this is one thing that I have surprised me when I come here is a lot of meetings. You know, when I come here, you go to the club for the meetings. No, this is a joke, but there are a lot of meetings that for me is the key for keep the communication in all departments. I always say the same in my conference when I teach master's degrees and different conference. If you have a lot of resource, GPS, force platform, heart rate variability, a lot of questionnaires, RPE, wellness, creatine kinase, whatever you want, but you don't keep a good communication with the rest of the departments, it's the same. It's the same, and sometimes it's so easy to keep a good communication, to good meetings, to speak about the different player, what the feeling, what is the process with each player, because sometimes you have an objective, you have a marker from for speak about biochemical. For example, creatine kinase is high, but you speak with player, no, I'm good, I'm fine, I have any problem. On in the other hand, you have a very good indicator for example, GPS or a wellness questionnaire, but the player refers, no, I'm not good, I have bad feelings. So this is sometimes it's less to see the computer and more, I don't know, is the good translation, less to see the computer and more to see the eyes or for the player. And
yeah.
Sometimes.
And you bring up a point that I was probably going to raise up a little bit later, but we talk about the advancements in technology, the greater resource, the bigger budgets, the bigger structure, and the more clinicians working at the coalface. And yet, in terms of the injury data that we collect, we're not seeing huge reductions in the number of players who are picking up injuries. And in terms of maybe hamstring injuries, which are one of the most prominent within football, we don't see any great change and haven't done for a lot of years. What would be, your thoughts on why that may be the case, and what do you think we could do to maybe improve those numbers?
Obviously, we are doing anything bad, I don't know, but I include me, or not bad, or maybe not as good as is necessary to stop or decrease. Obviously, if we correlate the amount of games played for unit of time, nowadays is so high. Is now one elite player play a lot of games for each week, and it's not only the game, it's the intensity of the game. I remember always a very good paper with very good research for a British college, is Paul Bradley, about the collection of the last 10 years from I think 2010 and 2019, about the change in all positions, about external indicator for GPS, total distance, sprint distance, distance between 14, 19, acceleration, deceleration, in all metrics, in all position has increased. So this is a translate for the increase of the intensity of the games. What is the most the most important actions for the performance in football, the most intense sprint, acceleration, deceleration, and which actions are the most important for develop the fatigue in the player, this action as well. And so this is maybe we have to change, we and the international organization, you know, the all report for Fifth Pro, the organization who is defending the interests of the players, and they talk about the different of the calendar, the schedules of the leagues. Now they are speaking about, you know, the international break with different options, with less international break, but with if I remember is 2 international break with 4 weeks each one, trying to avoid a lot of travels, a lot of flights for some players. And so, well, I think we have to change something in our role of fitness, real fitness coach. Try to investigate about what is the key, trying to decrease the injury, and for the organization associations, look for a schedules calendar with a little bit more balance between the days and recovery days. This is the key.
Yeah, and you touch upon a great point there. We've seen in recent times that medical departments are maybe unfairly singled out, and you know, I think good examples previously have been, say, for example, Chris Morgan, head of the medical department at Liverpool, Arsenal, medical department singled out when teams have maybe a high number of injury incidents within their clubs. And almost what you're saying is, well, you know, we're constantly firefighting and there's only so much we can do. And is your job really about that? Look, this is part and parcel of the game. Injuries will happen. We just have to try and minimize those best way we can.
Yes, this is injuries. You have told injuries will happen. This is impossible. We have to change the topic for injury prevention and speak about injury reduction or manage the risk of injury. But injuries always will happen. More hamstring injuries, less, but you know the percentage is more or less the same. 40 between 40-45% of the injuries are from hamstring. And this is maybe more eccentric training, trying to work with a sprint distance on the microsite. Well, a lot of I'm sure that all fitness coaches on Premier League are top professional, and everyone read about papers, take the research in all training. Well, but there are a lot of factors that sometimes is difficult or almost impossible to control. So this is the key. Sometimes I think I always say the same. Sometimes avoid injury, prevent injury is impossible, but we have a lot of way cover if we know why this injury happened, what was the reason, or what was the factor.
From a personal standpoint, or almost, you know, when you come in the club, and this question will be in sort of 2 parts. So when you come into a club and you speak to the recruitment and you find out, are there anything in terms of, this is your remit, these are the results that we want, we had high injury incidents last year, this needs reduced? And if not, do you have any sort of self-imposed targets where you say, right, well, actually, I'll have a look at those figures and I want to reduce the number of days lost, I want to increase availability of the team? Is that something that happens internally? Yes.
Really, this year is a reality in our club. In Watford, we are decreasing the use in relation with another other year, but we have to contextualize. You know, different. The players have different. Maybe the style of play is different. The methodology of the training is different. So this is, you know, this is a question that sometimes we look with caution. You know, when you change or there are modification of injury incidents, you compare one year with another year. Sometimes you have to analyze everything. But well, this is in our target from this year is trying to reduce the injuries, trying to increase the player availability. And really, for today, this player availability almost 90%. And so we are very happy because this is the same that for each 10 players, every day we have more than 9 players ready for train or ready for competing. So this is key. But sometimes we don't speak about so high about this, because you speak about our injury are so low, and in 2 weeks it make everything. And so
kiss of death.
This is always.
And you mentioned there it's about contextualizing everything, and we've seen after the first sort of lockdown in the pandemic, and then we returned after Project Restart. We've had condensed pre-season training programs, which we know form the cornerstone. Internally, are you still feeling the effects of COVID and how you can manage players, and ultimately is that also having an impact on maybe availability and maybe players again at increased risk of picking up injuries, just because maybe the way you're having to work and tailor your treatment plans are not as robust or as ideal as maybe you would like them to be?
Yeah, this at this moment I remember. But we talk about how so much about this situation, and really last year we tried to elaborate stats about the Spanish player La Liga who have suffered COVID in the last 4 months, and more than almost 50% of these players have suffered a muscle or tendinous injury in these months. So this is nothing published, it's not a scientific research, but this is info get for the newspaper, for internet, and this is curious. And now we have the situation with Kun Agüero, cardiac problems. Is show that some athletes have suffered COVID. May develop in the future acute myocarditis, and so this is another question that we have to take in account. Here in Premier League, all clubs follow a very strict protocol about the return to play after COVID or isolation, and from my point of view, it's very good. It's so appropriate. So you have to go step by step to control. What happened. Nowadays, we have more info about the effect of virus of COVID in the health of normal population athletes. But I think we need to follow this protocol like in Premier League we are doing. This is another question that we are going to see in the future what happened with the athletes and the players in this situation.
Yeah, and I've always wondered as well, given the role that you play in terms of getting players ready or helping players return to fitness. When you see players suffer a setback, soft tissue or muscle tears, and I'm thinking at the moment, you've got Peter Turbo with a quadriceps, you've got Christian Kabasele. When players suffer setbacks on the pitch, do you take that as a personal slight and thinking, what went wrong here? Why has this happened? Or again, is it just, this is the intensity of the game, this is the calendar that we're working within football? Or do you think, right, actually questions need to be asked, what can we address, what needs to change, and how quickly can we try and get this player back on the pitch? Yeah, this is a key. With some player injured, you ask a lot of things. What happened? What try to go to the injury to the player profile and try to look for a neuromuscular profile. You look for a GPA. You look for everything. You analyze the injury mechanisms with the video of the game. Well, this is something that we always ask. I think it's good because you try to get the solution about the situation, but sometimes it's so difficult. The only way is try to elaborate a good
rehab program. For me, I always say the same. For me, the best rehab is not the fastest. Is the rehab that you only do one time, when each player.
Yeah.
I prefer wait 1 week. No, because I always say the same. The medals are for the player, not for us. And so is you have an injury, hamstring injury, grade 2. The literature speak about between 5-6 weeks, 5 weeks, and no, well, we are going to try in 4 weeks. No, it's necessary. Sometimes I think it's necessary. There are a lot of research about this question, or ACL injuries. This is the injury with more day loss. Why we think about 6-7 months with ACL. In NBA, in basketball, they are speaking about 10-11 months because the structure or the ligament between 12 and 24 months is the best moment to the ligamentization. So why 6 months? Sometimes we have to, for me, and so the injury happens, we have to think about, analyze injury mechanism, because it's not the same a hamstring injury that you have suffered in a sprint, or a hamstring injury that you have suffered in an overstress. It's different. There we have, it's different. The type of exercise is different. The prevention in prevention program after the return to play, and so this is.
Yeah, and you touch upon a great point, and one that I was going to bring up when you are leading a player through the rehab process, and obviously the player is very keen to return to play.
Yeah.
In your understanding of the bigger picture, you don't want to suffer any recurrences. How much of an influence does the player have on that step-by-step decision-making process? Is that player-led, or ultimately during those early phases of recovery, is it, well, actually, look, I'm in charge here. I tell you when you can move on. We need to tick this box off. We need to make sure that there's no reaction, no inflammation, that we've got full range of movement, and then we can progress, and then we can discuss about the next steps.
Yeah, this is the first thing that you have to do when you suffer a injury is meet with the player, obviously the head of the medical staff, doctor, physio, in my case as a Rehab fitness coach, and speak discuss is show the program for the player. This is your injury. This is what happened when you suffer this injury in the structure of the tissues. This is the keys. This is the steps or the phase in the rehab process. These are the tests for progress for each phase of the rehab program. These are the tests for the return to train, return to play, and return to performance on competition. And when you have passed these tests, this rehab program, and obviously take in account your feelings, your confidence, everything, you are in theory up, okay, to join a game, training with the team, etc., etc. But this is the most important, and sometimes this is the communication that we have told in when we start this conference. This is show the program and try to explain everything for the player, because sometimes here at these levels, a lot of players have, external physiotherapies, external point of views. Players suffer an injury, they receive a lot of information for different channels. Oh, this injury is 4 weeks, no, and the other one, no, it's 5, no, maybe in 3 weeks is better. No, this is, you are working here on the club, this is our program, and we are going to follow step by step to return to play in the best situation, in the best condition. So this is the most important.
And as an individual and almost as a department, are you almost, and I know it will depend on player profile, player status within a club, particularly maybe where there isn't maybe enough strength and depth in the squad? Are there external pressures put on by stakeholders of those? I know the clock's ticking, they're injured. When are they back? When are they back? How much are you allowed or afforded that opportunity to take a player through that full rehab protocol to get them ready to play it? And how much is just, well, actually it's risk and reward? If it was an injury, say to Ismail Shaw, big player, great player, the clock's ticking. Watford have some big games coming up. Are the pressures different around different players, or is it a case of, well, look, he's with you, we place our trust in you. When he's ready, I'll understand that, you let us know? Or is that just, does that not happen in the real world?
Yeah. This is it's, sometimes it's the situation is difficult. This is the rules of the market. Players have you talk about it. Sometimes you have to push a little bit. How is the risk that you want to assume with some players? This is sometimes for this reason you have to analyze a lot of things. Are depends on the profile of the player. You can't assume this risk in one proportion, and with another players is impossible. This is.
Yeah, thanks, Ángel. And last question, and one I always like to ask.
Yeah.
Given the role that you've had, and I've spoke to medical departments and individual clinicians at other clubs, and one of the things that I'm always interested to hear is, who do you aspire to? Who do you look forward to? Is there a person? Is there a club where, because conversations I've had in the past, whether that, we look at the Wolves, we always look at Wolves numbers, and they don't have many injuries, so we know they must be doing a good job. Is there anybody like that you look to and thinking, what, if we could be like that, if we could, mimic, or if we could keep our numbers down?
Well, I always think the same. Sometimes get a very low injury is not the same that doing a good work. Sometimes you can do a very good job or very good work with your team. It's not traducing a low injury incidence. So we look for the same, but sometimes it's not possible with a lot of factors. Some injuries have 4 traumatic actions. Our 2 last injuries was for a knock, and so this is sometimes you look for this aspect, but it's very difficult. It's almost impossible.
Yeah. Listen, Ángel, fascinating insight. Really appreciate it. I mean, that's the end of part 1. We will continue with our second part, where we start to look at player profile. But if you did enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, and if you have any comments, pop them in the box below. It really does help shape our content going forward. But part 1 with Ángel Aceña Rodriguez, Head of Fitness and Rehab at Watford. That's you done for now, mate, and look forward to seeing you again very soon.